Interesting, Sam, that profit is being driven by smartphones, but not the top smartphones. How so?
Well, Emily, what's happening here is that Samsung makes the Galaxy S line. We have the Galaxy S4 coming out later this month, and that gets a lot of attention. However, where they really make their money is in developing markets like India, China, Africa, selling smartphones and non-smartphones to just about anybody who needs them. I mean, we talk about one or two phones that Samsung makes, but in fact, the company floods the market with dozens, if not hundreds of different models to meet each individual need in different markets.
You know, what does this have to say about, the Apple-Samsung rivalry? Obviously, Samsung has more market share worldwide, but Apple's profit is twice as much on nearly the same amount of revenue.
Well, I think what's happening here is we're looking at sort of two different schools of thought, right? Apple develops the iPhone, and they do keep older models in circulation as lower-cost options, but we're really talking about two or three different phones total. Samsung sort of says, we're just going to make everything. And not only are we going to make smartphones, our revenues and our profits are also going to rely on other divisions. I mean, we're talking about mobile right now, which certainly made up almost 2/3 of those profits for this quarter. But also, semiconductors were up, televisions were up, consumer electronics were up. So every division is outperforming estimates and contributing to the greater well-being of the company.
And talking about Samsung just making everything, we've talked a lot about how Samsung is trying to modify the Android operating system to give consumers the Samsung version of it. And yet Facebook, now out with this new Facebook Home product, that's going to be available first on Samsung phones. It's sort of contradictory, isn't it?
Well, there is something kind of interesting happening here with Android, right? Obviously, Facebook has taken it and forked it, as they like to say, giving it its own look and feel. Of course, Amazon did the same thing when it came out with its Android-based products. Samsung wants to kind of customize Android, but it also has its own operating system called Tizen, which is going to have a phone coming out later this year. So there is some question about what is exactly happening here with Android, and Google might be feeling a little bit of pressure.
What about these Samsung experience shops that are going to be opening in Best Buy store? Is that a threat to Apple?
Well, let's put it this way. They're going to be opening up 1,400 locations in Best Buy stores. There are about 400 Apple stores. Now, Apple stores do amazing business. They're some of the most successful retail operations in the world. But there is something to be said for getting those phones in front of people in many, many locations. And if it doesn't necessarily threaten Apple, I think it does a number on all the other competitors like LG and HTC and these other companies that aren't going to have such a customized presence in store.